Because of disconnection, human life continues on without any thought for its impact. Despite this blind spot, the impact is still felt on the planet, but the day-to-day life of the human goes unperturbed since they are disconnected from the impact. A sort of human privilege, if you will, generally put in place by greater systems. The impact is felt, but we have mastered the art of disconnecting ourselves from that reality, and the truth that our actions create an impact after our interactions with objects. It is almost inherent to our current way of life to pay no mind to the consequences of our actions. You're done with a piece of plastic? Well, throw it away then. After all, the only guideline is to discard it in a wastebasket. However, this does not make the waste suddenly disappear from Earth. The waste is taken away and brought somewhere else. A third greater element that works in tandem with disconnection and disregard is accustomization. This occurs when somebody becomes accustomed to a lifestyle that is disconnected and disregardful. It results in habitual actions that negatively impact the greater picture, yet subconsciously do not appear to the choice maker as even having made an impact, thus making them look past the actions as if they result in no problems at all. One example of the dangers of accustomization can be seen in the use of single-use plastic bags as a frequented method in commercial establishments, and its impact is further evidenced by its semi-recent widespread bans. Once a no-second-thought method of allowing customers to carry out their products, single-use plastic bags have since been banned and barred from being used so frivolously. Why? Because they're extremely damaging to the planet and, when habitually used on a large scale, such as the population of an entire country, they begin to pose a significant threat to both the environment and our well-being. The same actions have also been taken against single-use plastic straws in some places, as well as all other frivolous single-use plastics in others. These small actions are frequented by the public for their convenience and affordability, and for these reasons, many grow familiar and gradually accustomed to using such methods. When one becomes accustomed to such practice, they begin to habitually carry it out without a second thought. The problem is that even without a second thought, it does not mean that the secondary consideration for the greater ramifications should not have been taken, nor does it mean that the impact on the greater picture is any smaller just because the person executing the action doesn't see or care for the greater impact. The exchange does not end at the individual executing their habituated actions. Instead, the exchange continues further. I observed an example of this daily when working at a restaurant. While not an egregious or malicious example, I simply wish to highlight the concept of growing accustomed to something, and not to accost the people mentioned in this example. Some workers would have glasses of various beverages to drink during their shifts. These glasses were generally filled with water and ice, maybe a splash of cranberry, and occasionally filled with soda. Many of these workers would deliberately use one or more single-use plastic straws with their drinks, as it was their preferred method of drinking rather than sipping from the glass itself or using a reusable straw. Generally, upon completion of their drink, they would discard it to the dish pit. When the time came for another drink, they would seek out a fresh beverage, requiring a new straw to be used since the previous straw had been discarded. This is an example of accustomization. The workers grew accustomed to having a new straw with each drink, despite, in most cases, a single straw possessing the capacity to be a reliable, sanitary option throughout the day. One might say, what are they to do? Take the straw out and reuse it after they finish their beverage? Maybe bring a reusable straw, or use no straw at all since it isn't necessarily needed or any more sanitary than drinking from the glass itself. But I'm not here to argue the morality or what should be done. I'm simply pointing towards the phenomena which leads to real ramifications on the planet we live on. In truth and in practicality, a reusable straw or even a plastic single-use could be used safely multiple times without altering the experience of the person drinking. They get safe, clean drinking, and the planet is not burdened to the same extent. The problem here with accustomization is that as somebody grows accustomed to a certain way of doing things, they begin to act in repeated ways. These habitual ways do not necessarily take into consideration or care for the impacts on the greater picture. Rather, they are primarily focused on the desires of the individual who's grown accustomed to such a way of doing things. These actions can be exponentially damaging as they deal with the habitual use of daily items.